You know, these are the kind of things that I find so fascinating about the articles. How I declare on my latest video that I was getting bored of them, of the same old whining over and over again. And when I was predicting that if they continue this downward spiral, they would have run out of gas in 2026. As in, there's no more else to do unless they come up with something new. And I said, quite frankly, that I was getting bored of them. The good news is that Meghan always finds a way to do something that generates memes or commentary or just a body language analysis. A classic body language and statement analysis. And in the past couple days, I've been really busy with all the crazy stuff happening in US politics. But then, Harry gives this glimpse of his upcoming interview about the phone hacking scandal, or whatever he wants to make it seem. So let's watch the videos and the clips one by one, and I'm going to destroy whatever Harry is trying to do here in exquisite detail. Number one.
I think paranoia it's a very interesting word because, yes, then it could be paranoia. But then when you're vindicated, it proves that you weren't being paranoid.
Okay, here Harry is mimicking the story of Chicken Little, the one who was paranoid, yelling that the sky was going to fall until the day that it actually fell. And he was proven right. And this is something that you're going to see in the rest of the clips. And my best guess is that this is going to be the main motive of the whole interview. And he's here to prove that he was right about all the concerning hacking and all that stuff. And of course, he has to bring Diana into this.
Same with my mother. You know, there is evidence to suggest that she was being hacked in the mid-90s. Probably one of the first people to be hacked.
Let me get this right. One of the first people to be hacked? I don't know if Harry means by the British press or hacked in general, but he leaves the statement so open that I have to remind him that phone hacking has been around for at least since the 1950s. So unless you're talking about a time machine and Diana's phone was hacked 10 years before she was born, then no, Harry, she was not the first person to be hacked. But the most important thing here is that he makes sure to bring the topic of Diana again, because that's all that he can do. And then he says something that is even more outrageous.
And yet, still today, the press, the tabloid press, very much enjoy painting her as being paranoid.
He says that today, the British press paints her as paranoid. Well, I am not the biggest fan of the British press, and the British press are not the biggest fans of the Royal Rogue, so we are like tied on that. But I would be hard-pressed to find a journalist nowadays that would claim that Lady Di was paranoid about the press, since she literally died because paparazzis were chasing her. So yes, she was paranoid back then, but I don't think anyone would mock her today for feeling that way. I mean, there are cruel and heartless people in this world that could go there, but Harry's making it seem like it's something that everyone does. That people in general in the mainstream media are painting Diana as paranoid. I wouldn't affirm that. But the question arises, does Diana motivate him in this legal fight? That is important.
Does your mother motivate you in this legal fight?
There's all sorts of things that motivate me.
While it's never been proven in court that Princess Diana was hacked, the past remains raw.
What things motivate Harry? I think it's Meghan motivating Harry to still cry in front of a camera. And even the presenter says, well, it was never proven in court that Diana was hacked. Well, we know, of course, that private conversations were leaked. But what Harry's trying to do here is victimization by analogy. My mother was the pioneer in being hacked, so I am her legacy in the being hacked stuff. But it's not just Diana's legacy, no. It's that he is facing this huge organization.
To go in there and come out and have the judge rule in our favour was obviously huge. But for him to go as far as he did with regard to This wasn't just the individual people. This went right up to the top. This was lawyers. This was high executives. And to be able to achieve that in a trial, and that's a monumental victory.
Look at those words. Monumental victory. He's using the underdog story that Meghan couldn't do because everybody knows that Meghan was born in a really privileged middle class. And now Harry is painting himself like this. You know, the dragon slayer. The lone dragon slayer against this massive dragon. That story, the story of the underdog that beats all odds and proves everyone wrong, oh, he's playing it nicely. He should dedicate to write actual books. Maybe doing the actual work of writing a book would be good for Harry. But here comes the most hypocritical part, in which he not only blames the tabloids for making Diana the first person to be hacked in the history of humankind, or being this horrible monster that he's fighting alone, but he's making it seem like the tabloids are the reason why he has distance from the royal family.
To what extent do you think that your determination to fight the tabloids destroyed the relationship with your family?
I think there's, that's certainly a central piece to it. But, you know,
Notice that he lowered his voice on this answer. He is effectively trying to rewrite history, making it seem that the Oprah interview never happened, making it seem that Spare never happened, making it seem that it was not him who created that rift, that gap between himself and his family. No, it was the tabloids. And what does this mean? That you're putting the blame on a third party. Now it's not the racist royal family, and I called this out many shows ago. They're not talking about the racist royal family anymore, the oppressive British Empire 2.0. No, he's pointing his finger at a third party to paint the mainstream media as the real evil ones. And what does it mean? That if it was not the royal family's fault for this separation, and Harry's implying that it was not his fault either, that he separated from his family, then why can't they reunite again? He would say that he's willing to reunite with his family, with the royal family, if they wanted. And of course, the royal family is gonna say, no, thank you, not in a million years. So that's how Harry's trying to paint them again as the evil ones. You are the ones who do not want to heal the rift. And that's what he does here. He tries to make it seem like whatever he says is distorted by the evil media. Notice how the narrative has changed. And he also claims that the media is distorting his words.
It's a hard question to answer because anything I say about my family results in a torrent of abuse from the press.
Oh, everything I say about my family becomes a torrent of abuse from the press. That's why it's so important to review that Oprah interview every once in a while. That's why it's so important to review his own words in Spare. We have said this so many times. They have no other options but keep the connection with the royal family. And now they're trying to manipulate and gaslight into getting close to the royal family again. Now he's making it seem that his fight against the evil mainstream media, he's the only one who has been putting in the work. He's the only one fighting that fight. And here's the peak of hypocrisy.
I've made it very clear that this is something that needs to be done. It would be nice if we did it as a family. I believe that, again, from a service standpoint and when you're in a public role, that these are the things that we should be doing for the greater good. But,
notice all the words that he's using for emotional manipulation. We should be doing this together as a family, out of service, out of duty. He's pulling at the heartstrings. This is written by Meghan. Meghan has been finally coaching Harry, but in the worst way. And it's like he is asking the royal family to join his crusade against the evil British media. And if the royal family doesn't do as he says, then it's so that is the way that you will think that it's the royal family who must have some kind of agreement with the evil British media. And Harry is the only one fighting this fight. Oh, there's that slip of the mind. I'm doing this for my reasons.
I'm doing this I'm doing this for my reason.
Again, I think his reasons are Meghan's reasons. That's it.
What do you think of their decision not to fight in the way that you have?
I think everything that's played out has shown people what the truth of the matter is. For me, the mission continues.
I don't know what kind of question is that the royal family hasn't fought that fight? And of course they had. And William won a lawsuit against Rupert Murdoch, and he donated those proceeds to charity. And Harry acts like it didn't happen. I notice the kind of words he uses.
But it has, yes, it's caused, as you say, part of a rift.
For me, the mission continues. It's all self-serving. This is being coached in grandiose narcissism. And he also confirms that the fact that the royal family hasn't joined him in this crusade, that has been part of the rift, because he's fighting alone. He's implying that the royal family is partnered with the evil British media to, I don't know, make him the victim or something. Harry, you pathetic excuse of a man. You are not worth the air I could use to express how completely devoid of balls you have become. Insisting on these lawsuits like they make you feel good, but no, you look more and more pathetic as time goes on. Not to mention that this fresh attack on your own family to suit your narrative is not even your own idea. That is Meghan speaking through you. But now you know that there's no way that you can open your mouth without us having the tools and the experience to expose your poorly written scripts. Maybe you should pay a ghostwriter for that. But you are so dumb that I'm sure that you wouldn't know the difference between a ghostwriter and ChatGPT. That's why you need to outsource your thinking to your significant other. So good luck with that. Well, Rogues, I would love to know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue. Much love and bliss.